Today in the webinar, we have something in store for you, which will be showed by Gerhard, one of our product managers, about design data integration, how you can basically integrate design data into product structure for visualization, versioning, and baselining. Over to you, Gerhard.
Yeah, also warm welcome from my side. Good morning, good evening, good day, wherever you are. I have prepared today not too many slides, but rather a demo where I want to show you how you already can leverage EPD with a couple of capabilities together with the CAD integration. And I would also then give you an outlook what we plan to do also in the terms of CAD integration. Just a brief overview about the storyline to get us on the same page. So the whole topic starts in the CAD system where you design your 3D model. Then we manage that with Engineering Control Center. Then we can publish that information to EPD, create a baseline on top of it, go back, do a change again, synchronize it again back, and create maybe a second baseline. So that's a kind of the rough demo flow I want to share you today. So as said, we have the CAD design in here with the example with SolidWorks. We can then manage all these artifacts, the CAD files in ECTR. Probably some of you know it, how we do that. We basically manage the CAD files themselves in a so-called document info record. And as you know, the CAD nature is also that they want to reuse components. So they are reusing files, and that reuse ends up in like a bomb in a hierarchy. And what you can see here is that we have a kind of a hierarchy which you can visualize. So this is now the bill of documents, which is very tight related to what we design in the CAD tool. And then we can also create and derive materials out of that. So a material master in the S4 system. And we can also create a bill of material. So the hierarchy where we structure the materials. And as you can see here, that is what we see on the right side. It's not that huge here. As you can see, it's a small assembly with I don't know, 20, 30 components. Now, what you can do already today, you can now connect to the S4 system and pull out that information. So you can pull out the bill of material information, the materials, plus the CAD files, and even translate them into viewables. And that is happening. A lot of these actions is now really happening in the background. What you need to do is here, you have for sure select which S4 system you want to connect to. You have to define what is the component, the top level component you want to synchronize and upload, and then you just import it. And as we have a tight relation between the product structure and the bill of material in the S4 system, we can link and match those elements. And now what you're seeing here is we can also expand here the components, the subcomponents. You can also switch on preview thumbnails. As you can see here, we see in the tree view also the thumbnails of each Lego brick. And that is all derived from the S4 system, because as you have seen before in ECTR and on that side of the house, we also are using a lot of previous thumbnails, and it's basically the same ones. We know from the relation from the material master to the document to the contained preview thumbnail, all that relation, and therefore we can also display it here in the product structure in EPD. So if we then also turn on the visualization, we can create a visualization, and this is now really created on the fly based on that specific configuration. So I have loaded here now exactly that version, that configuration of the component in the product structure and can visualize that. Again, here we pull out the CAD files, send it to the conversion server in EPD. So using here the EPD visualization capability to translate a native CAD file into the viewable format. I'm using also the product structure, attaching the viewables to the product structure, and can visualize it here. In the background, we are also using the information of the location, so we call it transformation matrix, so that we know exactly in which location which brick needs to be located here in this visualization scene. So that is all information we can grab from the S4 system, bring it here to EPD, and then link it with the product structure and visualize it. And as you can see here, I have selected one component. It's the component 2021-401. And there is a second instance of it. So in the product structure, we not only know we have a BOM item quantity 2, but we have two distinct elements, which is a much deeper level of information even inside of the product structure. And again, all fed by the information from the S4 system. So if I select then here the other component, I get it highlighted here. So that's on a very detailed level how we understand all the occurrences of components, even if they are multiple times assembled in the assembly. Now I'm going back, doing a change. I already prepared that change, so I added here a second row of Lego bricks onto the truck here in the front, and changed that in ECTR with change number. That change number has a different lead-in date, a different valid from date. So with that, I can distinguish both the two versions, basically, of this whole assembly. And then let's see what happens here. So again, I would check it into ECTR. We have a new version of certain subcomponents. And then we just synchronize this whole assembly again. And as said, this is now an assembly with a configuration much later in the future. So in a few days, basically, as you can see here, it's on the 26th of April. And there the change should get valid. So you can also use then this effectivity here to control what you want to see. So the product structure is not only then a single snapshot, it's really a kind of the whole history of what you have changed down in the S4 system. So we know all the history, and so we can drill down in a specific time slice and then pull out that information. Again, we also have to regenerate certain viewables, maybe if they were changed. Otherwise, we now have to again collect the viewables, and as you can see here, there is now a second row of Lego bricks on that truck. And again here, you see even here in the product structure that there are now 4 times that Lego brick, that specific one with that specific article number. It's now 4 times occurring here on the truck. So again, you can select them. And now let's continue with creating a baseline. So as said, I've prepared one before during when I recorded the demo, and now we can create a second one. Now creating baselines and snapshots, first of all, we have kind of an overarching element which we call a configuration plan. So the configuration plan, it's like an album. Let's imagine you're collecting pictures for your last trip to on your summer vacation. Then you would create an album for that, and then you can add there picture by picture. And that's basically what we have here. We have a sort of an album, an overarching element, and there we can then collect all the pictures inside of that. So I have even different chapters here, and then I create here a baseline. I have to define what is my object I want to create a baseline for. As you can see here, I'm also again going back to the bill of materials which I've stored in S4, pull out that specific configuration and then I can add that to my baseline. I can also assign here and give it a name that I have not only some long numbers and IDs, but then here I have created the baseline, and now I can add and pull all the data for that specific snapshot into my baseline. So I'm entering here again, top level product, and maybe you are familiar with the BOM applications, PP01 or ENG. So that means now we're really kind of pulling out information from the S4 system and taking that over and creating here the snapshot. So, and then that information is then pulled out, and all the elements, the specific time slices for that object are then added here to this baseline. And we can then also drill down into the baseline and see what components were added. So basically what we can do, and let's just go slightly back, or maybe you can see it here already. So as we have created now here a baseline, you can use either the date, or you can now use the baseline here. For instance, this is the second baseline, the 154, to explode the product structure and then also load according visualization into this scene. And if I switch here to the other one, to 146, that is the previous baseline I created, we see that the other visualization is loaded here. So with that, you can leverage already, even on top of your S4 data and CAD files you manage in ECTR, you already could leverage the product structure plus visualization plus baselining on top. And if you, one more thing to add, and if you are aware, in the product structure, we also introduced product versioning. So you will also have the capability to version products, which is also quite new, because I guess every one of you knows that we don't have versioning for the material master, but here in the EPD product structure, we have that capability as well. So a couple of new features on top, which you then can enhance and build upon your existing data. That was the very brief demo. So as said, keep in mind what we can do is create on top of your existing data, create baselines on top, visualization, plus the product structure, including the versioning, build that on top of your existing design, bill of materials, CAD design in S4. So maybe just as a building block picture, what I used and demonstrated you today, I showed you how we can integrate from CAD via ECTR into the documents, bill of documents, derive material, derive a bill of material, send that to EPD, to the product structure, create a visualization, and then baseline that on top. That is a kind of what I have showed today and what is already working as I've shown it today. Now, if we go further in the future, and that's where we started already the journey together with our partner DSC, where we're already building engineering control center today, we are also building a new capability in EPD where we directly want to integrate product data or CAD files into EPD. So without the need of having then the S4 system in between, we can directly manage CAD files in relation to the product structure, derive the visualization, and then we are right away here in EPD. So that's basically where we started now our journey. And I'm looking today for customers who have, who want to co-innovate with us, and also to review requirements where we can have discussions on if you're on the right track, what features would they require. That's basically it from my end. So with that, again, just to keep that in mind, the two key takeaways I have for you today. One is what I have shown you in that brief video is already capabilities which are really quite close to you if you already have a CAD integration with ECVR. It's really quite easy to put that other functionality on top. You could already warm up with that new capabilities today, even if you don't have or even if you don't have the new product data integration yet. But you can play around with the versioning, baselining, visualization, and the product structure. And the second key takeaway is, we are looking for customers who want to work with us together. And again, here is the Menti code. I guess that leads you to the previous shown page where you can also then catch up. So with that, Yash, back to you.
Thank you, Gerhard. Thank you so much for sharing with us the entire design data integration. And it was so interesting to see the entire flow of the CAD files and how these different breakdowns of the subparts can basically come together. It's really interesting to see it visually, because imagining it from a designer's perspective is something different, but actually seeing that happen and being able to see the different impacts that these building blocks and these changes can have onto the entire end-to-end design was really something that's amazed me. Thanks for sharing.
It was even a surprise to me, and it was really very seamlessly, and all the bricks were in the right location, all of that. So really was quite amazing to prepare this demo and to really go through all these applications and really stitch the single applications, which maybe you have seen in the previous sessions we provided to you, now bringing that into one demo flow and into one process flow, more or less.
Yeah, and allow me one comment. There was a question in the Q&A tool regarding user experience, right? I love the user experience of this demo you've just showed, right? So this visual interaction, right, with the product structures, the baselines, right? That's basically how a next generation user experience looks like in PLM, right? And I cannot wait for Lars' session, right? Because he will double click on the role of visualization across the extended enterprise, right? But that's the new SAP PLM. So thank you, Gerhard.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that comment as well. And thank you, Gerhard, for this amazing presentation to give us this insight about the design data integration. With that, we actually come to our first customer presentation. We would like to invite on stage Sandvik, Peter from Sandvik and Vivek from Sandvik, who are going to share with us how Sandvik is using SAP Enterprise Product Development to streamline and bring transparency with traceability in their entire product lifecycle. Welcome, Peter. Welcome, Vivek.
So, myself is Peter, and we have also Vivek.
Yes, myself, Vivek.
So, nice to have the opportunity to present where we are in our journey with EPD. We have started. So, let's see now. This was the first slide. We can take the second one. Sandvik is a great company. Annual sales about 11 billion euro. And we are about 40,000 people, and we are globally, and you can see we're very close to our customer. We are in this center, approximately 60 places around the world for the Sandvik company. We offer customers big tools like the underground things you can see on the middle of the screen, but also we are a very high optimized company since late 60s and developed since then. So we are, it feels really great. But Vivek and myself, we are from Coromant in the right corner there. Tools for cutting almost everything, I say like that, but in big things, but also in small things. That was the company. So now we leave that and go into the EPD. So EPD, we have a great challenge right now that we are splitting up our PLM environment that we have in Sandvik, but into a Coromant level. We do that with the objective to have a more seamless between sales, between production, but also to our external parties and some more. But focus on the external parties and internally. We would like to share product information and design information, both internally and externally. We do that because we have production units in a number of places, in number of production units in Sandvik, not only in Sandvik Corma. So we need to have that sharing information. So in that mission, sharing product and design information to and from our suppliers. There are a number of things we need to have back as well. That includes not only external, but also internally. And we like it to have it so streamlined as possible, but we have some challenges. This is, I can take this first, this part, if you don't have the products, I don't have the services, there is nothing that we can sell. So that we call internally cross-brand sourcing, that we're using production units globally, independent where we are in Sandvik. You keep it simple. So have the product information shared, then we can work with the suppliers, then we can do the procurement, then we can do a lot of inventory control, business control, and do logistics and things like that. So this is the baseline. If you don't have this sharing of product design information, then the supply chain will stop. That is my main message here. But the challenge is that find a solution in a short time. We have a very short timeline in our project and find out how should we handle this sharing of product and design information to all suppliers, internal, externals. We have a lot of knowledge in the company, but we need also find new knowledge. And then we was very happy to find out the EPD module to our SAP environment, because we come to that soon. But that was a way to see a new way instead of follow the original plan with the technical constraints we saw, because the original plan looks like to have more dependencies. They looks like take much longer time. So right now we look into EPD. Can we do a shortcut? Maybe it will be even better than we thought from the beginning to using EPD instead of the traditional way. And also people is very important with the competence we have, but still we have a very short product time duration. So to the right, you see a very simple sketch that we have a great setup of systems in Cormant, but we need to work with, to the right, suppliers, different suppliers PLM system. The yellow line then that we call A and customized integrations, that was the original plan. We creating the schemas, XML, etc. We have a customized integration internally, but also to our vendors. But then we found out EPD can be an alternative solution for us. Can we go with the alternative B and cutting the duration time for the product, and maybe also get rid of number of dependencies, go via EPD instead of number of integrations. So in the common slides will Vivek shows where we are right now in our journey and our challenges and things like that. Isn't like that, Vivek?
Yes, it is like that.
Great.
So I think I can go to the next one. So yes, as Peter mentioned that we are working with different scenarios when we have this PLM split from this Sandvik PLM to our Cormant specific PLM, and then we see we should have different scenarios containing different kind of collaboration within Sandvik and then external. And if we talk about today, I think it's when we talk about externals, which are outside of Sandvik, we have more manual way, maybe via mail, via SharePoint, or maybe some other things. And there I think we really see the EPD is a way to go forward. But then I think as we were more into this internal collaboration, so we were a bit where we have some custom integration coming in, then we also see maybe EPD here as a way. So if you see here, I think for the internal, we have prototype collaboration where we create a new product in Sandvik with two different companies within Sandvik working together. Then we see EPD as a way to collaborate. Then once we have let's say designed and produced and designed one product, and then we say okay, maybe some other our sister company, they can produce something for us. Then we have this finished design and product collaboration. Then once we have the product in the market, and then we have this reconditioning where we would want to have some servicing on the product. there's like another scenario like what we have in this internal collaboration. And as you can see on the right side, we have like working with different set of collaboration scenarios, and we are like focusing these 5 like as our top priority for the time being. But then we have a plan like to work with the more. So the more and more thing like will come into EPD when we like go live with our project, the first phase, then the second phase, and then more after that. So if you like see the next one here, like when we see like here in Coromant PLM, which is a S4, we will like use MDG to create product. We have the ECTR where we work with the design documents and work from there. And then in Coromant, like we have a long history like working with automation, and from automation like we create everything like the product, the documents, all this CAM and all this PU product preparation, everything. So we have like these 3 as a source of input for us in Coromant PLM. And then when we see on the right side here, we have this the Sandvik PLM where we are today, but tomorrow like it's like like our sister company will use it. There's like one way, and then here we also like see a combination of both custom integration plus EPD. But then when we like move away from this S4 PLM, the Sandvik PLM, then we see the EPD as a way to collaborate with SACO, like our sister company. They use another PLM. Any external supplier like which are producing or manufacturing some product for us, and with the customers in some case. So we have like really good pipeline what we can say for the EPD, and we are like going step by step in order to like achieve those pipeline, the milestones. Then on the high level, like what we see, we have here on the left side, we have the Coromant PLM, where we have the internal user like they are connected to our S4. Then we are like integrating EPD and then like sending the product and document information from our S4 to EPD. And then we also like have Ariba like connected to EPD, where we will share the sourcing and from the Ariba part, and then we like share the design documents with EPD. And here it comes the external suppliers or partners. Then I think coming to this, some example of like scenarios like what we are into and what we have like already started with our pilot phase. So we have this prototype collaboration where we have this cross-front collaboration, and we use this ECTR and DMS collaboration to share our design documents. It's like more from ECTR, like from manual way. We upload the things into EPD, and then our the external partners, they can access those documents via EPD. Then we have this the manual collaboration as well, and the reason for this is we have like some external vendors where we like share like let's say more than 100 megabyte of files with them. And today is like more about this like creating this SharePoint folder or maybe like OneDrive documents or something. But we would like to like standardize all our process, so to like use EPD as a way of like sharing these documents when we go live with this our Coromant PLM. So here like it's like more about like using EPD as a framework. You come here, create a folder, you drag and drop the files, and then you start like a one task or workflow. Then like you assign those tasks to our externals, and then they can access the documents from here. Then I think this is more like a very interesting part for us as well. And we have started with this like last month, I think. And it's a bit more like pictures and everything, but I will like try to say it like in a very simple words. So as I said, like from automation, like we create a lot of different documents and product. So what we are seeing is like a one entire like flow from automation, also from our S4, and how we send this information to our externals. So if I like this right now, I start with here. So let's say that in our case, we have this interactive way of like creating the documents and the product in our S4 PLM system. So what we are seeing that when we have any collaboration with the externals, we use this something called the EPD packet, which is a PPX product package exchange. And here like you can export the product, the bill of material, and the link documents to this. It comes like a standard offering where you can just like say, okay, like which material you would like to export to EPD. You choose the material, and then you come here. So once you are here, then you already have the product, the BOM, then documents, and then you can like use a standard workflow or this work item in EPD, and you like assign this to an external. So this is like one phase. And then when we have this our Sandvik PLM, so what we are thinking, like we have this custom integration where we share this product via custom, but then all design documents and anything else, we use EPD as a way to share it with them as well. And then from automation side, so how we work in automation is like we create, we deliver, and we produce everything from automation. So what we are planning to do in with this, that we use automation like to generate our product and documents in our S4, and then we follow this approach. But then when we get the order from any customer, then we use like EPD APIs to put the things into our order, like this packaging, marking, and other things into EPD directly, so that it can be like shared with the suppliers. And again, like this, if we like talk about today, is like more maybe some manual process in between for us. And with this EPD as a hub, we can say we just like want to like standardize everything, like what we are sharing with any suppliers, any external, like what we have in Coromant. So we have like EPD as a way like to share and to put the things, and then we use this change management and then the versioning in the documents you use here then. Then it's just like one snapshot how this PPX exchange, like this packet looks. So this here, like we have this S4 where we like choose one material, and then here like you can see that we have this bill of material containing materials and the list of documents like which are connected to this material here. You just like drag and drop from here to here, and then you just like click on this publish. From once you click on this publish, then it goes the entire package. It goes to our the EPD where you have this app. When you click on this, you can see the same material what you have done here with like linked all the attachments. What you see here, like these attachment, the documents, and also like the items what we have here, like here in this 337, it is here, and the link documents to that one. So we try to like make it like as a package using this standard out of the box package what we have in EPD, and then share this information with the externals so that they can like have access to this document and product. So if I come to the next one, so here I think we are like more in this explore phase right now in the project, and we are like starting to this realize phase here where we can like set this EPD package into EPD and then share with the externals. Also, like we are trying to collaborate with we like trying to like connect Ariba with EPD, so we can like use Ariba and EPD together when we have any external supply procurement anything. Also, like we are like more into this the manual step right now, like is to use manually like go to S4 and publish it to EPD. But then our plan is to like automate everything so that we don't have like so many human error, something that we can rid of, so that then we like use the EPD APIs to automate this thing. And then we have this PPM coming, like we have a plan to use PPM. Then we see this PPM EPD collaboration already existing, so we will like try to use that as well. And then we have this the change management. When we have this engineering change, once we produce a product, it's in the market, but then we have some change, some engineering change that like we can collaborate with the EPD. Then we have this, we are like waiting for this PPX export. So right now we can only export the BOM, but I think it will be like really good if we have the single product export as well, which I think is on the pipeline. So we will like wait for that so that we can also export single product as well. Also, I think we heard we have like something coming up with this CAD integration, and we heard our previous slide as well, like what we have, but I think we are like looking forward to know more. And the reason is that like we produce a lot of things with automation. So if we can like use directly EPD as a way to put these things from our automation into EPD and then integrate it with and then like share it with the externals. Then it really helps us, I think, with our automation journey, what we are in Coromant. I think with that, I think I would like we would like to have this the team who are involved, like here in the Sandvik Coromant, we have our team like working every day with this collaboration task. But I think with this platform, I think we would like to thank our SAP team as well, Ayan, Vijay, and the support team, because they are the one like who are like keeping up, enabling us to use this EPD. We had like some roadblocks in the beginning where we were like setting up the EPD and everything, but then we really had a good support from the team. And now I think we are in a journey where we can go with this real-life phase.
Exactly.
With that, I think we are done. If you have any question, I think we are really happy to answer you in the chat or maybe directly here. Do we have any?
No.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see how you how Sandvik plans to basically use the EPD application not just as an external collaboration tool, but also as an internal collaboration tool, and how basically it's bringing the transparency, as you mentioned, Vivek, that automation is going to help you bring this entire design information from your brand, cross-brand products, cross-brand design as you are doing it. I do have this question, like in this particular plan that you do of this design exchange, what kind of documents are you planning to exchange? Is it just the work instructions based on PDF, or as you also mentioned that you have the future plan to include the CAD integrations? The types of documents that are involved in your design information exchange would be something I would be interested to know if you could share.
Yeah, I think with the design document, we refer like to this our part files, the annex part files, where we like collaborate with our externals and also like within Sandvik. So what we do, like we create like, let's say one template one in our side, then we share it with our siblings. They create like, let's say template B using this template A, and then it can be like maybe produced by them, or it can like go to our externals, which then produce the product for us. So with this, I think we see like more need with this cross-brand collaboration within Sandvik, and we see like EPD as a way like which we can like use to realize this when we have this cross-brand sharing within the company.
Also, when we change in suppliers, internal and external, so it will be more flexible for us from a business point of view.
Okay, if we have any questions from our participants and audience members, please do use the Q&A tool to post your questions. I do not see any specific question that's coming your way, Vivek or Peter, but I do have another question that comes up after listening to the current status of Sandvik's implementation and your plans to kind of expand with the automation of EPD and this design document exchange for your internal and external collaboration. Just how easy, as you said, there are companies that are doing it via SharePoint. What are the advantages that you see that EPD has over this, secure exchange of documents that you do through the collaboration feature in EPD?
I think what we can say that we don't have any standardized procedure like how to work when we have this like one project coming. They maybe like create their own way of sharing it. Then another one coming, like they can create another way. So what we see EPD as enabling like for us like to have like only one platform, which will be like used with from everyone in the company. And then using that, like you are sharing the documents. And then what we see in the EPD, like you have like this change management coming. So we really like, it's like really good like to have when we have some anything change within our S4, we can like send it to our any partner. And also like we also have this worsening in EPD. So like you say like one person, then the next one, then you can like have everything over there. And then like you have like more traceability, like what we have shared, because we share like many things we work, but it's like then when we like want to like have some traceability, then it's like we have like in so many places.
I can also add that from a supplier point of view, that also get when we connect Ariba, then may also from user interface point of view be all simplified, get things in almost one place. So there's a benefit also from our suppliers point of view.
Okay, so like these different projects bringing in a different tool, as you mentioned, it was multiplying the number of tools and number of platforms being used, and through EPD you plan to standardize this. So as Peter already mentioned that suppliers are also kind of getting an ease of access. So my follow-up question here would be how acceptable were the suppliers that you tried out this flow with? Do you find it is easier, or was it difficult to get them to start using the collaboration tool?
Maybe something to come back to, because we're so past all in this, but we are using a lot of different tools earlier, but to have one single master save them time, but also you feel that this is a great path forward. And in this enterprise product running, with purchasing, finance, and also with suppliers, but also sizzlings in the company. So we get a positive view, but also the challenge that right now we have some manual steps that we need to take care of that we addressed. So we have them on our work list, and we progress, as I also said, every day, and also with a great support from you. So we are we're positive and taking steps every day.
Okay, so thank you, Peter. Thank you, Vivek, for an amazing insight into how Sandvik is using enterprise product development to bring in transparency with traceability within the product lifecycle, and how, through EPD, this one part of having this cross-brand sourcing and internal and external collaboration becomes so much more easier.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Yeah.